Hillary Kramer, the Millionaire Maker, and welcome to the show. We have so much great stocks to give you, but also that big picture because there's a lot of transformation going on. We're like a winding stream that needs to be understood because you don't want to get off at the wrong time. A lot of people lost their shirts this week. Doug Roberts here, my oldest, dearest friend and smartest Wall Street guru, and truly the youngest ever graduate of the Wharton MBA program. He always understands what's going on. So that's why he's sitting with us right now. But let's start, since we have Tal Ben-Ari with us, we have Doug. Let's like do a little game. I want to know, what do you think are the most important overhangs on the market? Is it inflation? Is it entitlements that Biden has announced he's giving to everybody who doesn't make any money? Is it geopolitical risk in the Middle East? Is it trade war with China or China against Taiwan? Is it taxes against the middle class and upper middle class that everyone is under the assumption is going to be taxes against Jeff Bezos? But Jeff Bezos is enjoying his heliport, his yacht, the heliport that's on the yacht that follows the other yacht. And we have taxes are going to be hitting the middle class, that's for sure. Is the problem that valuations are just totally overstretched? Is the problem Robinhood? Is it that everybody had too much time on their hands and invested so much? Why did this market, why did this market have a reversal and cause a lot of capitulation before it came back on Friday? So that's kind of the question of the day. First, let me start with Tal. Tal, what's your feeling on that?
I would say I think it has a little bit. I mean, there's definitely an inflationary issue. I think people are kind of really hesitant to step back in right away. I also think there's this big overhang on the market of like, what's going to happen with this multi-trillion-dollar package that they're trying to get approved through the government, and how is it's going to affect the economy as a whole. And I think that's, you're seeing big cash stores not being put into the market because of that.
Okay, so inflation. Well, part of inflation is why we have this jammed up supply side problem, right? With Ford only being able to produce half the number of cars and trucks that they intended for the next 12 months because they can't get their hands on the electronics and the parts that they need. Yeah. This is pretty serious stuff. And it all points to the potential that we're going to see not just a small correction like we did this week that ended up, like ending with a nice big boom, wonderful, everybody's, singing Kumbaya when Friday afternoon came around. But we could really be looking at a serious 10 to 20% correction over the course of a week if inflation remains like this. Plus, there's this fight to get housing. Places that used to cost $300,000 or $600,000. Bids are going in, money's all over the place. Brilliant, Doug Roberts. What's your opinion on this?
I think the biggest thing there is really with China, because that encompasses everything else. Our supply chains are over there. The inflation that we've seen with the oil is largely temporary. That's going to go back online pretty soon. But we have supply chains. We're linked with China. At this point, China is in control of a lot of it. So as you've seen, they have developed alternative supply chains. The best thing would really be to basically bring it back here, but that can't be done overnight. So you have, let's say, China, who's in an area where a lot of our supply chain is based upon. They're the dominant power there. They don't want to lose the business. So at that point, there's going to be kind of like behind the scenes pressure to do that, to basically for us to gain more control over the supply chain, either by going. But even then, if we do something with, let's say, Vietnam, some of the other countries over there that's still in China's neighborhood, China, basically American relations, still I think is the key thing, because that's where everything else flows through. A lot of the other stuff, the oil inflation, kind of
that's a big deal.
Yeah, but the entitlements, that's really dependent upon, it's a subset of China. China is the real one over there. The only thing that you could say with oil is, kind of like the Green New Deal is inflationary by nature, but is it really going to happen? We've seen during all of this that the chief energy czar right after she mentioned that basically if you had an electric car, you wouldn't have to deal with that, which was not true because they can shut down hackers can shut down the electric grid just as well as they can shut down gas lines. But then after that, she backtracked on the importance of pipelines. And you may see the Biden administration doing the same thing as well. So, and even if it doesn't do it, are they going to be able to really to enact anything? I don't see Joe Manchin, the deciding Democratic vote, going anti, kind of like fossil fuel energy, and then starting to push the Green New Deal when that would be distinctly unpopular in his state, and he would like to be reelected. Now, whether it's as a Democrat or as a Republican remains to be seen.
Now, what about ESG? ESG is such a big topic. That used to just be clean, green, how you dispose of your waste. Now it also has to do with how employees are hired, the treatment of employees, payment, equal pay for equal work, all of that. So ESG, but of course it's green as well. It's green, it's solar, it's all of those areas. So in that really falls in Tal's set of woods because you're really a green expert and a clean tech expert. You think that this has legs? I mean, it obviously does in Europe because the trains left at the station, but do you think we're going to see true green transformation or ESG transformation here in the US?
I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. And I also don't think, like you said, I think you're right. It doesn't really have the legs that it needs to see an immediate change, at least not in the next couple of years. But you are seeing some companies that are really benefiting from I don't know, this current administration's like attitude towards the green energy and moving toward more like kind of green economy. But I still don't think, I think there's too much, it's too polarizing for any real movement.
Okay. Can we go back to China for a minute? Because I think it's really important. So I have Doug here tying really everything into China. I mean, you feel China's more important than overstretched tech valuations, more important an issue than people, discovering margin and going crazy with their investments. Where would you put cryptocurrency in the equation?
Cryptocurrency is important. If you make a comparison to what happened, took us down in 2007, it wasn't kind of the low quality loans, it was the leverage associated with the low quality loans. So right now, crypto is fairly limited. Whether the Winklevosses, kind of like are worth $1 billion or 10, 20 million and they have to fly commercial, doesn't really matter too much. The real question becomes really if it's integrated into our system. Let's say JP Morgan, a lot of the companies have huge cryptocurrency holdings, and all of a sudden that goes down by 50 or 60%. So it's the leverage. The unfortunate thing right now is it's not just like a speculation, it's starting to gradually, and it remains to be seen, incorporated into the system. Once the punch comes home to roost on that, that can mean the difference between, let's say, a 2008 versus 2000, 2001, 2002, in which case, basically the dot-com bubble burst. But since none of it had been really highly invested and widely held, it just meant that certain people who were worth $1 billion one day were suddenly worth $5 million the next day.
Well, you're going to feel sorry for them, but I get the point. Stay with us. We're going to talk more crypto and what crypto you should be buying, and if Dogecoin really makes sense for you, or should you just be back and sticking with gold. Hillary Kramer, Millionaire Maker.